Mrs. Ford blames stress and added peer pressure for the increases, and she says it's time to focus more attention on young women with drug problems. One person who works with the results of the trend is Margaret Gold, clinical supervisor of Jelani House in San Francisco, where crack mothers and their children are helped to try to kick the habit. Do you see this trend reflected in your clientele as well in the city?
Yes, we have mostly women in our program, and I see that they have a very sizable problem with substance abuse as compared to the men, and it's reflected in the fact that they're the caretakers of their children, and they often get sent into the system, into CPS, lose their children, and children go to foster care, and then the women are really out there and need to come into our program so that they can reunite their families.
It sounds like there's a much greater vulnerability for women to drug use and to situations it produces.
Well, primarily we're dealing with crack abuse down in Jelani House, and I think for some reason that afflicts women more than men. Perhaps I'm wrong about that, but that's what I see. It's just seems more prevalent with the women.
Do you just see crack abuse?
No, we are seeing a rise in methamphetamines, and we also see heroin, especially accompanied with crack.
Both of those said to be in the general population on the increase.
Yes.
Well, they talk about alcohol in this report. Does that play a role in all of this with the clients you see?
I see that most of the women who use crack also use alcohol. The crack brings them up and the alcohol brings them down. And so there's usually an associated down drug, usually alcohol or perhaps marijuana.
Any new techniques that are working that you're using for these women?
I don't know about new techniques. I wish there was such a thing. What we're trying to do is get the women back out to the community quicker as we see the cuts coming in AFDC, and women need to be more independent. We need to get them back into the workforce. We need to get them trained earlier. We need to get their GEDs done quickly, although that's always been part of our program. We're now looking to quicken that up a bit so that we can get the women prepared for what we see in front of them.
So at the same time the problem is growing, you're seeing a decrease in support, except for places like yours.
Such as the way it is in the government right now, evidently.
Margaret Gold, thanks very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
When we come back, we will check some local election results and have news of the world as well. A bit later, you're going to meet some teenage mothers who beat the odds for a whip. Francisco is no longer leading the